underway to get a recording on. This will be a YouTube video because a lot of people can't actually make it. So just be aware of that. It'll be on my YouTube channel. It's a public video. Right, we'll make sure the videos are on. Videos are running. If you could just switch off your microphones when you're not talking, that'd be great as well. On the bottom left, otherwise we get the background noise. Thank you. Okay, let's get underway here and just put this on here. It's on. I'm just going to share the screen just to sort of have the presentation. And if you want to see your webcams on the right, just click on the 3x3 little matrix and then resize your webcam window, then you'll be able to see everybody, okay? Which is what I'm going to do right now. Okay. All right. That's running. Yep. Okay. I've got a few more people have just arrived. Just a sec. Welcome, guys. Just come and join us. Everybody. All right. I'm Nicolas David Ngan of the Centre for Conscious Ascension, and welcome to the webinar, How to Help Others Transmute Their Karma into the Gifts of Service. And this webinar is all about, well, I noticed when I started on the spiritual path that a lot of people turned away from the biggest karmic challenges they face in their lives, and they got stuck, and no matter how hard they tried, it was just too painful for them to face their challenges. And I still see it now, 30 years later from starting on this path. Because they lack the spiritual map of life of how to overcome their issues. You know, I faced that very issue myself. I knew there were a lot of challenges, but I had no idea what to do about it. I thought I was just being bounced around by life when I was in my 20s and early 30s. So this webinar is about how to identify these core karmic patterns and how to transmute them, the very thing our ego doesn't want to do. So you can deliver your gift of service to the world. And I discovered that this is really important to make that breakthrough, because it completely changed my life when I did that. Because I've been searching for this very special thing that I felt in my soul. I remember being at university. I was 19 or 20. I was away from home for the first time, and I felt there was something special I was here to do. I wasn't here to do this engineering degree I'd signed up for because I was just into science at that age. And someone wasn't telling me the truth of what was going on. And I felt most people weren't telling me the truth at all about what's happening in life. So that was sort of the beginning of my search. It started very early for me. So I'd like to hear why you guys have come here today. What are you searching for? And then it'll guide me in terms of how we handle and run the webinar, because it's really for you guys. So if you just want to share why you're here, and it sort of sets the intention of what we're going to do today. Just put your hand up and wave at me if you want to talk, because there's a lot of windows, a lot of camp. I've got someone's kids in the background there. You have to wave really big at me because there's a lot of who wants to share why they're here. Okay, Patricia. You're still on mute, Patricia.
There we go.
There you go.
Hi, Nicholas.
Yeah.
I'm here because I have been searching almost all of my life, and I feel like I'm a little bit lost. There's a lot of stuff in my my ancestral patterns. I don't know about past lives, but I know in my childhood there was a lot of stuff that kept me from really developing into a whole person. So I'm just here as a prelude to my soul contract reading next week. And I'm really excited about that, because even though I'm 73 years old, I feel like there's something I can still give to others. So I want to find out what my gifts are.
Okay.
And I thank you for this.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. Who wants to go next? Just to share briefly where you are and why you're here. Okay, Naomi. Have to unmute. Have to unmute.
There we are. I got really interested in following you after reading your book and thought it was just fantastic for really helping people. And turns out my soul contract is 9/9, and I always felt I was here to teach empowerment. And so I continue to gather this type of information that I think could be helpful for other people, but principally it has to start with ourselves first, right?
Yeah.
So I seek to teach self-empowerment, and I'm starting a knowledge program here shortly, and I wonder if it might be some information I could incorporate for the clients that come to me. Thank you for teaching us this today.
Okay. And where are you located, Naomi?
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Okay.
It's 6:30 in the morning over here.
Very good. Okay. All right. So, Jivan.
All right, I'll take a window here where my kids are screaming.
Bring it close to the microphone. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Bring it really close.
Really? Not hearing me, huh?
Yeah, that was better then, just then.
Let me do this. How about that?
That's much better. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take a window while my kids aren't screaming. So I am engaging already as a healer of sorts, but so far right now, it's just God just does awesome stuff. I don't really have a way of communicating an invitation, and my desire is to communicate the invitation to people to for healing, stop suffering so much, transmuting all the things they're running from into gifts. I love that. So I'm just excited to learn about that and be able to articulate it, an offering better, be able to invite people into something better instead of just God does great stuff. Let's talk.
Okay. Okay, this is a good tool for that. The soul contract reading work. Okay, who's next? Okay, Annette.
I'm in a I'm at a crossroads career-wise, and trying to figure out which path I should follow. I had a reading with Antigone, I think it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite bring me the clarity that I was looking for. So I'm hoping to get closer to that today.
Okay, and where are you?
I'm in Denmark.
Denmark, okay. All right, okay. Parker.
Hi, I'm calling from Gwinnett County, Georgia, and I am on here today because I'm just looking for the language for what I've actually done in my life, and if I am able to put it in words, then therefore I can share it with others. But that's why I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? We'll start then. Okay. All right. And actually, see, if anyone who's watching is on the chat, you can put your chat messages up as well. I'll just open that window up. Okay, let's get started. We just get back to the diagram here. Right, we just had that. Why are you guys here? So the general principle which we use here is that our karma contains our spiritual gift of service, which may be a bit hard to believe. So the biggest challenges we face, for example, disempowerment, which was for me as well, my biggest challenge, was to become my spiritual gift of service. So we always start off with the opposite of what we're to become on earth. We get everything we don't like. So we get lots of very challenging things happen when we're younger, which some of them are pretty unpleasant. So that we can have a choice to engage with them, to turn our karma by turning into it to our gift of service. Okay, because a lot of attraction and all the opposites go together. So we'd think if we wanted to become into empowerment, we would attract empowering situations. Well, we don't. We attract the opposite initially here. So that eventually, the law of opposites gets our attention. Eventually, we do get empowerment, which is what we were trying to attract in the first place. So you think God's having a bad joke sometimes. That's why this happens. So we have to turn into whatever the law of opposites is creating for us to claim our gift. And that's a sort of a big secret. And a lot of people don't actually do that. They get stuck in the negative karma, negative experience of their karma, and often never escape from it. Okay. All right. So let's get to the next slide. So how do we help people do that? How do we help spiritual seekers find that special gift? And receiving their soul contract reading, perhaps you guys consider training in soul contract reading, helps decode the secrets of the blueprint of life for spiritual seekers, that thing they've been seeking for a long time. Because it's right in front of us, it's in our birth, the sounds of our birth name. And by the law of attraction, the birth name is programmed into our DNA, into our energy fields, and it's programmed into a substance called Karmic matrix, which is like a grey cobweb substance at the fourth and fifth, sixth dimensional levels in our energy fields. And it's called Karmic matrix for a reason. It literally radiates out to the matrix, to the reality. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, and it's your attraction code. It's actually radiating out, and the reality rearranges around whatever the Karmic matrix is transmitting. And that Karmic matrix is described by your soul contract. And the soul designs the soul contract based upon all of your past life experience, or all of its past life experience with different personality. Because all of you are brand new this life. We're brand new personality constructs in these earth avatars. And we come down here in these avatars so our soul can express and experience life through its particular ego filter to see if it can actually overcome these patterns and learn from them. And so I call it the spiritual map of life, the soul contract, because it's easy to grasp. And when people receive this, it empowers them to overcome their karma and turn it into their gifts, express more of their talents, which are going to help them overcome the karma and achieve their goals. And if they get through all of these, make good progress, then you can start to manifest the soul, life purpose, that special thing I was searching for when I was in my late teens and early 20s. And some people search for that their entire life. So how do we decode that? I know some of you, how many of you guys read the book? Put your hands up if you read the book. Okay. All right. So this is also for the guys who haven't read the book and been watching this later. So to come into the earth plane, you've got to bring your consciousness, your spiritual energy through a particular gateway. And we use the Star of David or Shield of Solomon to do this. It's made up of two triangles, two large ones. There's a large downward pointing triangle, which represents the physical side of life. Because when we arrive here, we are brand new. We have to form a personality based on our soul contract. From scratch, we have to learn to walk and talk, get conditional responses, careers, relationships, get up and running. And then between the ages of 35 and 42 or younger, the spiritual triangle, which was running simultaneously, starts to become more predominant. And that's where we have our awakening. That's where we start to say, well, it's got to be more to it than this job, or this relationship, or this country. And so we seek out the real purpose. That's why we have the midlife crisis in conventional 3D terms. On our terms, it's a spiritual awakening or a dark night of the soul. There's usually a big spiritual crisis. I left my corporate job right in the middle of that when I was 37. I knew I couldn't do this job anymore. It wasn't aligned with me. I knew I had to seek out my real purpose, which is what I've been doing now for the past 23 years, running a spiritual business to help others get empowered and awakened. So the spiritual triangle builds upon the foundation of this physical triangle. If it's been well organized, you work through enough issues, and these big triangles have three aspects. They have karma, talents, and goals. And karma is a set of unresolved past life issues your soul brings in from those other personalities, which were active in the previous lifetime. So you weren't around in those lifetimes, but you have a choice in this life to clear up the karmic load, the unresolved karmic issues of your soul with another personality. So none of you have really had past lives. You're just acting on behalf of the soul to clean up the big mess it might have created, all the issues, themes which run through many lifetimes. So the themes you have now would have run in a different variation probably in many other lives, because we follow those through a lot of lifetimes, because we come to Earth about 48 to 72 times on average to get the experience of this particular planet. And the way we overcome the karma is we activate our latent physical talents, which helps fuses into the physical karma here. And if it's a good match, it transmutes it gradually into our gifts. And as the talents are used, they get stronger, and these help activate, burn through the physical goals. This is called the fulcrum of the talents here. So the energy flows from karma to talents to goals. Same with the spiritual, it goes from spiritual karma to spiritual talents to spiritual goals. So within the spiritual karma lies another answer to the question of the gift. There's two gifts. There's a physical gift and a spiritual gift. And if you can access that, it opens you up to high consciousness, and high consciousness embodies and expresses through you to bring your gift online. So your job for yourself, or you're working with others, is to help them access these two and transmute it. Then that person comes online. And the thing is, though, the instruction manual was not given to us when we arrive here. We just come to Earth and we blunder around. All sorts of strange things happen. That was my experience for the first 30 years of life. And it doesn't make a lot of sense at all. So how many of you had that experience? Put your hand up, like life made no sense. Yeah. So that was one of the reasons I wrote the book, Your Soul Contract Decoded, because I thought we need a manual on how to actually navigate this reality. So I wrote it as like a light worker's manual. You arrive on Earth, here's how it works based on your soul contract. That's why I wrote it the way I did. There's a lot of spiritual philosophy in it, plus the process of finding out specifically what your soul contract is, so that you can actually get on with the mission rather than running around lost, which is what I'd done for 30 years. And I met Frank Alpa, who was the founder of this work, in 1990. He gave me a reading when I went to one of his workshops in Arizona. And that completely changed my life, because he put all of the disparate experiences in my life into context on the Star of David. And in that moment, I knew I was here to learn this work and teach it and share it. And I've been doing it ever since for 30 years. And it's still a great passion of mine, even though it's been 3 decades, to help others awaken and to train practitioners so they can help others awaken as well. To free people from the dictates and unconscious programs of the ego by knowing at least what is the spiritual map of life that's driving their life, what is in their soul contract. So if someone works through all these 6 outer aspects, what happens over time, this is time this way, this is percentage complete. If you consciously work through it because you know what your soul contract is, what happens is that the soul destiny, these energies infuse and start to manifest the soul destiny, the purpose, that special thing you're here to do. It starts to manifest layer by layer at a pace you can handle. And so that's why you have breakthroughs as you awaken spiritually. And then eventually the full scale of that soul destiny is revealed. I mean, I had no idea I'd write a best-selling book. I was just trying to pay the bills for many years. And ended up running a global teaching business. Had no idea that would happen either. So coming onto this conscious path changes our lives completely. I'll look for another diagram to explain that. Let me see, here's a diagram I want for that. This is the diagram I want. Here it is. I think some of you saw this yesterday in the Divine Healing webinar. So if we unconsciously do what our ego drives us to do, we're on the path of suffering, the dotted line. If we discover what our soul contract is, and we align to it, and we start to follow what's called the spiritual signature, which is in each moment is one right action that opens your heart. And if you have your soul contract, that spiritual map of life, you know what to do in given situations because you know which part of your soul contract is actually attracting to you specific situations. And then you also know what to do about it because the system is designed to give recommendations as well on how to move through things. And you can gradually converge here, moving from ego dominance to, which is here, to expanded consciousness, connecting to the vastness of spirit. You start to converge on the spiritual signature. So in each moment, you're following spirit, feeling in your heart what opens it the most, letting go the dictates of the ego mind, or especially the Western left brain, and following what feels right. And as you align to it, you move to what we call the path of bliss, where life just opens and flows for you. Because if you do something which is not in alignment with the spiritual signature, life gets hard because the soul's wanting you to learn, come back from here, heading away from the spiritual signature, come back and converge here. And as you do that, the ego gradually surrenders because you realize that this is actually the only way to be, is to follow the spiritual signature. So what we're doing with this work is helping people converge on that spiritual signature, which helps them work through all the issues they face in your life. They need to work through them to get there. And that's actually how you manifest the soul destiny. It's how you manifest a more fulfilling life. So that's what this work does. It creates more bliss, more happiness, more flow. Okay. Any questions so far on that? Okay, Justin.
Hi.
Hiya.
Just a question popped up as you were talking about the spiritual signature. I was just curious, does that mean, because some people choose not to awaken, right, and choose not to follow their spiritual signature. So I was just wondering, why do you think that is? And like, do you think certain people are planted with a specific seed inside of them? Because I know we're all spiritual beings, but I was just curious what your thoughts were on that, David.
There are two types of souls on earth. There's you guys, the light workers, who woke up a lot earlier. And how many of you felt really different from your family and pretty much most people you know in general? Yeah?
Yeah.
Because you are different. Not better, but you just have a lot more experience of coming to planets to help them ascend, rise in consciousness. And so the 98% of the rest of the population, they come here to go to Earth school and to go completely asleep and not wake up. And to learn life the hard way. Because when we come into a physical body, it's very intense, as you all know. The soul gets the most emotional intensity by being in a physical body. It's nothing like that when you're on the astral plane or higher. So believe it or not, there's a big queue to come down here. And you sort of think, well, why did I volunteer this again? It's because for your own learning, but also our job is to help raise the consciousness of as many people as possible, to wake up those people who have decided to go very asleep. And they do it deliberately. And they can feel like another species because it's just the level they are in their soul evolution. Okay. So yeah, there's there's the vast majority of the population come to go to sleep. We call them the ground crew, and then there's the light workers who came here. It's like the spice and cooking, come to wake them up as best you can. I know that's challenging, but that's your job. That's why you came.
Yeah.
And to raise the consciousness of the planet as a whole. Does that help?
Yeah, for sure. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
So, because obviously I've been on the path for a while now, and I've been really interested in numerology and astrology, and I just wondered, from your point of view, do you find it complements your system? What are your thoughts on that? Is it?
Well, the soul contract reading is Hebrew numerology. It's Kabbalistic numerology, based on 22 Hebrew letters, which have the numbers inherent with them, which come out of the movement of the Great Spirit in the creation of creation. So it's literally the sounds of God we're using. And when you match those sounds to your name in whatever language it's in, you get the pure sounds of God coming out of it. And we decode those on the Star of David. And then from there, we can find out the absolute truth of why you are here and what you're here to do. Because your soul chose those particular frequencies as the next optimal step in its growth. And there are many other systems of numerology from different schools, because there's so many people down here. You've got to have different ways of getting at the data of who we actually are. So they all have a piece to play, and we get attracted to whatever system is resonant to us. Astrology goes very well with this, as does human design. The three of them, soul contract reading, astrology, and human design, pretty much give you 99.99% of what to understand who a human being is. The soul contract reading work gives you the spiritual map, the roadmap of where you're meant to go. Human design gives you the vehicle you're going to travel that road along. And astrology tells you how you're going to be influenced along the way. It's going to give you at certain times. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that help? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All right. Susie, you look like you're asking me a question. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, and you mentioned it in the book too, and I haven't been able to put it together myself. How do we know when numbers in the different aspects are a good match to each other?
What do you mean, between two people or within your own chart?
No. So how do I know if the numbers in my talents aspect are a good match to my karma? Let's say in the physical.
That's something that comes. We learn. You've got to learn in the training the actual meaning, the essential meaning of 22 numbers, which is what we teach in the first 3 days of the training.
Okay.
Okay. We teach that by using the charts of everyone in the class, and you talk about your own direct subjective experience. You relate to what the numbers are, so everyone gets a transmission. This was Susie's experience, direct experience, and they won't forget that because it was very real, very raw and visceral. Once you've got those 22 numbers, they get programmed into your fields, right? And you start to use the system and give readings. Then after a while, when you understand the essence of it, then you can understand the influence of one number on another. We do talk about it in the training a bit, but most of it's focused on getting you the essence of what it means. Okay. But in level 2, where we talk about relationships, we talk about how 7 sets of numbers on from one person to the other, how they interact. That's where we get into it in a lot more detail. Okay, so we had to break it up into 3 trainings because it's too much to learn it all in one go.
Right.
People learn the best way. So you learn through experience what different numbers do. Some numbers will help ground other numbers. Some will aggravate other numbers. Some complement. Some will repel. Some will actually create conflict.
And so this is why it's important to understand your name overlays.
Yeah, that's why we have our birth name, which is what we're talking about here, but also overlays, which are like layers of icing on energetic icing from someone else, or from a different name you've used, like a married name. So we can understand the whole energy soup and interaction that's going on.
Mm-hmm. So in essence, then, my married name could really conflict with my birth name?
It does, actually, having looked at the chart.
It does?
It does, actually.
I figured.
Yeah, you probably felt it anyway, but it's in there.
Yeah.
So some names aren't good for your emotional mental health. They help you grow, but in a very challenging way. Other names you use or people you're in a relationship with can be very complementary to you. Okay, so you can actually understand the entire dynamic of a relationship with pretty much anyone, and then learn why certain things happen, and then how to manage it better. Okay, or get the answer to why this relationship ever going to work, and sometimes in the chart the answer is no, it's not. Or, but there are other times there may be a way to work through it, so we can look at all that stuff.
I'm excited for our meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Lindsay.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. One is about the time frame, like when you're working with someone or when you're working with yourself. I think I heard you share in an interview at some point that it's a 7-year, the vibrations like maybe trickle in for 7 years. But when someone gets a soul contract reading, what's the period of time to where they start to see change, or where you start to see change in the person? Yeah,
the system works in 7-year cycles. So we spend the first 5 cycles of 7 years primarily in the physical triangle. The spiritual is running simultaneously, but the predominance is see if I find a diagram. The predominance is the physical triangle. Let me just share the screen. I have to dig out another diagram down here. Yeah. Here it is. Okay, yeah. So, hang on. Just check. Yeah, that's okay. So, I'm trying to find my pen from the. So this is time, and this is intensity of experience. So initially, it's primarily physical because you've just come into a body. You're still embodying even after you're born, and as you work through the physical issues, they diminish over time. Okay, and then the spiritual issues are running, but as you grow, they increase over time in terms of your focus and intensity, because the soul is like at the control panel of your system. It's actually literally pressing buttons, say, okay, time to do this now, time to do that, and it will actually trigger different programs in the contract to run. So it can decide. You might have spent a couple of months working on disempowerment with your 9s, if you have them, or unworthiness with 3s. So it's actually deciding what it wants you to work on. So for the first 5 cycles of 7 years, you're primarily in the physical. And the 6th cycle, which is this one here, you're usually making a transition, or younger, where you move from physical dominance to spiritual dominance here. Okay. And so the speed you work it through, this is just a generalization, the speed you work it through depends on how much progress you make, depends how challenging your contract is, depends on how much drive and focus you have, depends on the tools you have access to. Okay, so once someone's had a reading, then they tend to go a lot quicker because they know where to put 80% of their effort into the 20% of things that actually matter in their life and stop doing the things which aren't working. Because the contract will show you that specific approaches to things you've been trying which aren't working. It will show you why, and it'll give you a reading will help someone understand what's a better approach, what's a more optimal targeted way of breaking through issues. So it's very good if you're a therapist. How many of you guys are therapists here? Or counselors, or yeah. What it does is it helps you target your existing tools in a much more focused way on what someone needs, because whatever's presenting to you in a group session, group situation, or an individual session will actually sharpen their contract, and you'll know what to do to work on it. So basically, people can actualize and work through their issues a lot faster once they know what the contract is. Okay.
Okay, and the second question I had was about the sounds. I'm wondering if in the training is there a portion of that we go over where we are listening to sounds?
We do a bit of Hebrew chanting and stuff of the actual Hebrew sounds just so you get the feel of it. Okay.
Okay.
But mostly it's we're looking at the English, the Hebrew translation matrix for it. Okay.
Okay.
Because the system was channeled through Frank from the Soul of Moses, it's English to Hebrew. But if you've got a non-English name, we have another advanced phonetics training where we teach you how to go from, say, Slovakian or French or Chinese to English, and then we can convert it to Hebrew. So that's an advanced training which requires at least the first level of the training before you can actually handle the advanced training with that.
Sure. So with that, is it a focus more on the intellectual understanding of the matrix, or are you listening to sounds so that you're able to translate easier?
No, it's more about it's very much a bodily transmission of training. So we will be, say, reading Susie's chart in the training, and you'd hear an exquisite emotional detail, probably painful detail, of how a certain karmic pattern works. So you're learning through hearing the transmission of someone's direct experience. Okay, so it's not about reading through the manual and memorizing it. It's about receiving a full body DNA activation and transmission. So by the time you leave the training, most people have got an essence of the feeling of each of the 22 numbers and can give a reasonably good reading. So we spend 3 days immersed in the transmission of it. So it's not about trying to remember it or understand it. It's about becoming it. You become the work. That's how we train it. So it's a very much an experiential training. And then because you're becoming it, you won't forget it because it's in your body. Because if you put something in here and don't embody it, it doesn't necessarily retain very well. Okay.
Okay. Can I have a sub question to the last question I asked, which is, if you're in the middle of a project or something, like, for instance, I'm in the middle of studying for my board exams, would you recommend waiting? Like, is it something that's going to take up a lot of space, the transmission? Does it take a lot to process?
Well, the training is 5 days. You would need those 5 days plus maybe 2 or 3 days afterwards just to rest, because it's very strong, because you're getting the 22 frequencies of God through the Hebrew coming to you and through you and embodying for 5 days. So provided you can do that, you'd be fine. It's not going to interfere with what else you're doing, as long as you've got this time and space to do that. It'll work.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Justin.
8-hour days.
No, let's have Justin then Jivan. So Justin.
Yeah. By the way, this isn't a webinar just for trainers for the courses, is it? It's I was just. This
is for anyone who's just initially curious to someone who's considering the training. It's designed to give you a feel for the work and to meet me and ask whatever you want.
Yeah, no, okay. Because a lot of people are asking about the training, so I'm interested in this because I don't really know much about the soul contract reading. So I was curious if you have a middle name that you were given at birth, but you don't really use it or you don't resonate with it. Would you just go off what you were given at birth, or would you go off the resonance?
You always go off the name, which was the primary parental intention at the time of birth. And that's usually the one on the birth certificate. Even if you've never used it, if you use the middle name, that is still the name which primarily creates your life. Because that's what the soul wants.
Even if you don't resonate with it, right?
Even if you don't resonate with it.
Yeah.
Because it's creating a reality. You're actually hardwired with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, interesting.
Hardwired.
Yeah.
Okay, you got another one, Justin.
Just a quick one. And with the soul contract reading, can that give you a lot of useful information with regards to relationships?
Yes, you can find out all the hidden dynamics that drive a relationship, and that helps you understand why certain things happen and how to better manage it and create a more harmonious relationship. So it cuts out a whole bunch of stuff which creates conflict because neither party knew what was going on. You see?
Yeah.
So it means you can relate more consciously.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Jivan.
I was just asking the time frame of the days. So the 5 days, is it 8-hour days?
Yeah, the
generally?
way it works, what time zone are you in?
I'm in California, Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, so we run from 12:30 UK time, which will be 4:30 your time, to 8:30 UK time, which will be 12:30. So you go from 4:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. California time. And we do that because we cover all of the Americas and way up to Eastern Europe, sometimes to India and Australia. So we try and cover the majority of the students. So, and I can only teach to about 8:30 at night. And after that, I'm not so good. So I go as late as I can. That means guys in Eastern Europe can go to about 9:30, and that's usually what they can handle. So it's sort of a compromise, but it's better than flying, which you can't do anyway at the moment. So that's how we time it to cover the bulk of people, because it's Europe and the Americas where the bulk of the students come from for the work. And the Australians get up at crazy hours, but they still do it if they turn up. So, Naomi. Oh, just a minute, just finish that, Jivan. So it's 4 1.5 hour slots over an 8 hour day. So it's like an hour and a half, 20-minute break, hour and a half, another 20-minute break. Third slot of an hour and a half, then about an hour and a quarter. Okay, approximately, unless we're practicing. So you've got kids to look after, which is what it sounds like you have. Then you've got time with the kids. And we can't give the exact times, it depends on where we are in the process, but that's approximately how it runs. So you're not on Zooms 8 hours straight. You can get a break from the digital monster. Okay. We spend a lot of time on. So it's a great monster. It works very well. Okay, Naomi.
Hi, thank you for all these details. I have two questions. One is that I have a daughter who's never gone by her birth certificate name, which is Abigail. She always goes by Abby. So I presume you'd be telling me to use Abigail as the actual name for determining her soul contract. Yes?
Yes, we go off the birth certificate name first, then you look at the other
Okay.
overlays.
Oh, the other one overlays.
Yeah, because
Which
that'll
means
have an impact as well. We look at the birth name first, which is what we learn
Okay.
in this level 1 training. We learn just birth names only. We don't cover overlays to the next level because it's another level of complexity. But you need to have a grounding in the birth certificate names first. Then you move. It's a quantum leap to be able to do overlays, so it's much more complex.
Okay, I see. So the second question is, in my birth certificate name, I have in my spiritual karma and my physical karma both the same number 6. What is that to mean?
It just means the soul wants to make sure you work that one out, and there's no way around it. That's what it means. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. So, should we do a little example of how this works? Okay. So, Mira, if you want to switch on.
No, thank you.
Well, Mira requested to have her name looked at. Now, Mira's Slovakian, so we have to check that I've actually converted the Slovakian into the equivalent English first, and we'll show you how it works, okay? For those of you who are sort of just curious, okay? All right, so let me just share the screen here. So Mira. Okay. I just want to check. I'll get to the Star of David, back to the Star of David in a little while, but what I've had to do is, this is how Mira's name is spelt, but because it's in Slovakian, do you want to just say it, Mira, then they can hear how different it is from how English, and someone who would speak English would actually say it.
Miroslava Vaňová.
Okay, so I'm going to check this one first to see. So Mira, do you have a lot of challenges in your life?
Oh, yeah.
And are you always very busy?
Yeah, there is time when I am very busy, and there is time when I do nothing. It's like quite big extremes.
Yeah.
A lot of, and then nothing. I just rest and meditate and stuff like that.
Okay. And is coming into your power very important to you?
Yeah. Huh?
Is that been a big thing? Have you had a lot of disempowerment in your life? So you've had to learn to come into your power?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the correct chart. Okay, this is an example of, it's a bit different to actually how it's spelled.
Yeah.
What I've done is I've found the equivalent English sounds to match the Slovakian. So let's correct the start, David. So we'll get back to the basics of how it works now.
So, yeah, it's totally different, you know, when I made it just, when I take each number, each letter and give the number like it is in your chart in the book.
Yeah, you can't use it exactly as it's spelled.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so here's how it works. Okay. So what I've done is I first, I had Mira make a recording for me, and then I went to my online Slovakian phrase book to work this out. But just so you know how we got there, but I'm not going to get into the detail of that. So what we've done is that her soul chose this name, and I converted it to the equivalent Hebrew sounds here. Like, for example, AH is one sound in Hebrew, not two in English. Okay. I could combination letters, and then in Hebrew, letters and numbers have the same energy. So this is the difference, say from conventional numerology, Justin, where numbers are allocated to letters in the English alphabet, whereas in this system, numbers are inherent within it. Okay. Okay. So we have these Hebrew numbers here. There are 22 different numbers here. We take these numbers, we're going to allocate them on the Star of David. So we take these numbers here, and we start at physical karma, and we allocate them in a clockwise expanding spiral around the Star of David to use them all up. Then we add the totals up. The total here is 39. Okay, and because we only have 22 numbers we use, which have channel interpretation from the soul of Moses, I have to reduce the 39 to the first number between 1 and 22. So I go, what, 3 plus 9 equals 12. It becomes the first number, which has some meaning. And when we have these combination letters here, we actually, combination numbers, we have another number on this side. So we get that number by going 1 plus 2 equals 3. So a 12 and a 3. So these are labels for a Hebrew frequency. They're not numerical, in terms of 3 being less than 12, etc. Just something we can understand in English. There's a pure 12 frequency and a pure 3 frequency. So on any given day, Mira will be experiencing some blend of these numbers on this continuum. It's like hot and cold taps in a shower. And so the idea in a lifetime, this is in karma, so this is what we call negative expression. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's an experience, the negative context, something for her to overcome through the law of opposites. She's going to explore all of that over a given lifetime. In the case of, say, physical talents, the total is 31. So we have to go 3 plus 1 equals 4, but 31 has no particular meaning. So we get a 4, and the 4 won't reduce anymore, so we get another 4. So it's one specific frequency. So rather than have a whole range of frequencies like here, we have one frequency only that she's working with, which is a 4-4. So the soul's saying, Mira, I want you to have a very specific experience in 4s only. There's not a big range of movement. Okay. So what's happening here is that you have a mix of numbers which have a wide range of expression. Fortunately, you've got 5 of them, then 1 and 2 of them which have a narrow range of expression. So for those of you who've got a lot of double numbers, it's these guys with single digits. If you feel, how many of you guys have got a lot of double numbers? Okay, if you feel life's a bit rigid, there's only certain things you can do, and some things you can't get anywhere near. Well, this is why, because the soul's saying, I want you to have just that experience only. Okay. So what we do is we work all the other numbers out accordingly, and we take the physical numbers We place them on the top half of the Star of David. Take your spiritual numbers, place them on the bottom half. Add the two columns up, we get a 19 and 27. So 9 plus 0 is 9. It has to be less than 22 or less. 2 plus 7 is 9, and it goes in the middle. It's mirror soul destiny. And these channel symbols, Frank Alpha brought them through. They're like energy gateways. So those of you who are very sensitive to energy, which is probably most of you, what happens here is that these give me access to mirror's frequency. So mirror, are you always learning new things? Are you absorbing lots of knowledge?
A lot of, yeah, I'm studying since I was a little child,
Yeah.
I never finished. Yeah, this is my main passion, to learn new experiences, new knowledge.
Yeah. So what you're doing here is you're learning, absorbing lots of knowledge to expand it, and you're here to teach it and share it. So what do you actually do, Mira?
Now?
Yeah.
I am coach, and now I'm in the period when I'm kind of transforming everything, because I had a period in my life when I was kind of hiding. I didn't want to be visible. I was a teacher and different, I was teacher at university and so on. And then I stopped, I was traveling and doing different spiritual practices and teaching. And now I think that it's time to take my mask off and started to do what I'm supposed to do. Okay. So now I'm like in the period preparing kind of new course for coaches, consultants, how to approach their clients in totally different way, how, to be open, and in this time, in this very specific time, to, let's say, high our vibration. So
okay, so the 3 here is a symbol of a teacher, which is perfect. You've got 2 of them. You've got 1 here and 1 here.
Yeah.
First off, you have to remove this plug of unworthiness from childhood in order to teach. Yeah. So this comes from this the 9 is a great dragon. The whole purpose of this life is to come into your power. This is saying you had lots of disempowering experiences, probably as a child or at work or school, which created a feeling of unworthiness. This is why you hid away from the world, because you didn't feel worthy to be seen. Yeah. But now you've clearly overcome it because you're coming out in the world and showing yourself again. Yeah, so it's all about teaching and empowering people. That's what your chart is about. And the 4 here is about taking ideas, the flow of nature, ideas of money, ideas, knowledge, and duplicating it and sharing it. So you create a flow. This is a symbol for it. Okay. So do you always like to share new things you've learned with others?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was with close people, I always had in my heart, in my mind, always came advice, when somebody told me about some trouble, I always had, okay, if I'm in your shoes, I will do this, because this is kind of my approach, always share what I know, what I experience, because I think it's the best way how to give advice. It's when we went through the same experiences and we have this knowledge and our own approach to this.
Yeah. And do you like to share things in plain Slovakian or plain English here? Turn it into language the man and the woman in the street can understand.
Yeah, yes, this is my kind of, I like to put everything, how you said, in very direct and simple way.
Yeah, because this is about bringing, this is bringing these high level spiritual concepts down and expressing them to the earth plane, expressing them with an open heart in plain everyday language. So you're a translator.
Yeah.
Concepts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the 7's also why you've been hiding, because there's a wounded heart here that comes from the disempowerment, your dragon being disempowered. So the inner child goes off and hides away because she's scared of being rejected or doesn't feel safe. She puts up a facade. So say, everyone look at the facade, but don't look at me because I don't want to be rejected again.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually, when I was young, I had very strong confidence. I had no trouble. I was kind of in school when somebody was in trouble and he was like weak. I came to the teacher and I told, I was really outspoken. But then after many years, I kind of lost my confidence. I was like following, I tried to please, other people, always like comfort them, not to be outspoken. I told, but I never was like, let's say, warrior, how I used to be when I was younger.
Yeah, well, this here is about you stepping into your power and learning to speak up here. Okay. All right, that's what it's about. Okay, so this is about opening your heart, and I'm going to clear these guys off. Showing your real self and then drawing to yourself a network of people, of like-minded people, and synergizing them into a greater whole. This is all your students when you were teaching at university. This is the people you work with now. It's all about building networks with an open heart. Okay. So the 21 here in spiritual karma is about, this is the divine mother aspect of God. This is about overcoming great hardship. So what sort of things have you had to overcome? What sort of big challenges?
Are you asking me because I don't have very stable connection? You ask me what challenges I had, or
yeah, what sort of challenges have you had to face?
Yeah, actually I had, let's say, a little bit trouble when my parents were passing. I had to first my father. We were very close, and when he passed away, I need to be very strong. I couldn't show my emotion. I was like for my mother and brother. So, but I was, I was wound inside, but I couldn't I couldn't show it. Yeah. So this was kind of very big challenge for me. And then later, I actually need to leave my own family under some circumstances, and it was not very easy for me, because I am very family, oriented. But I left them, and I was kind of on my own, let's say, kind of spiritual way, but I still had, kind of these troubles.
Yeah. So have you become stronger as a result of overcoming all those challenges?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So this is about building great inner strength, this 21.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What is interesting, I think until 20 plus, I was very strong person, maybe too strong.
Yeah.
What do you think, why this challenge came? It was maybe because I was maybe later when this cross about 30 years came,
Yeah, well, there's this thing, some things don't activate straight away. As I said, they activate when the soul decides, okay, it's time for this one, then it starts to trigger. Then it starts to appear, because it can go on for a few days, weeks, or months, certain programs. Then once the soul's felt you learned enough, it changes. Then something else starts to happen in your life because a different part of your chart's activating more. Okay?
Thank you.
Because the soul doesn't know how you as its personality are going to react. It's like an experiment in consciousness. It sets you in motion, and then it's up to you to decide what you do with the life. So you're actually in charge. There's no sort of absolute fate where it has to be a certain way. It's potential here, which you can work through, and the way you do it's up to you. But if you know what's going on by having the chart, then it's a lot easier, okay, or relatively. So the spiritual talents are about, can you relate to all sorts of people? Eights are about connecting emotionally with people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you're good at expressing yourself. You can, like an emotional chameleon, you can connect with all sorts of people, different people.
Yeah.
So
I think I have quite good empathy, to follow the,
Yeah. Okay, that's what this is about. This is about expressing with them. And the 20 here is great movement. So are you a great spiritual explorer? Do you like to try out lots of different spiritual ideas?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the 2 is about developing resiliency. To support yourself in this exploration of spirituality far beyond the average. You go to all the extremes here. Try different things on, you see. You go all over the place, yeah. So you're learning and finding your own truth from that.
Yeah.
And the whole pit.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. These experiences, many, many years in my life.
Yeah. Okay, so the sum total of this, the soul destiny, is to go from feeling very disempowered when you were younger to becoming very empowered, to be this big, powerful dragon energy, to catalyze change in others, and to really listen to yourself and trust yourself first. Trust your intuition, trust your channel, and flow with that. That's what that's about. Okay.
Yeah.
So overall, you're here to teach others. You're here to teach others, share knowledge in plain English, plain Slovakian, reconnect with them, take them on a journey and empower them. That's what life is about. So being a coach is ideal for this. So, okay, thank you for bearing your soul there.
Thank you very, very much. I do appreciate. Thank you.
All right.
Can I have a question? You think it could be as well in English? It doesn't matter because you say Slovakian. It doesn't matter in which language I will do this mission.
English or Slovakian, either.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Either. Whatever feels right. You reach more people in English. Depends what you
that's
can do.
true. You know, we are a very small country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any questions about that? I'll just sort of give you guys a demo. Some people hadn't seen this. No questions? Is Justin gone? He's disappeared. No? Okay. Did you have any questions about that, Justin? You have to unmute.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
Did you have any questions about that? That would just give you a feel for how a soul contract is formed from the sounds of a name.
I know. I found it very interesting because I'm fascinated by numerology, and I've dived into it the last year. So, I'm really curious to have a soul contract reading and to see, because I know in numerology, like basic numerology, I'm a number 5 in terms of birth number or personality number, I think they also call it. And then soul contract, I think number or destiny number is a number 7. So it's a very spiritual number. So I'm interested to have the reading, the soul contract reading, and I've been interested for a while. So, but yeah, so I know you've got a long waiting list. Is that right, David?
It's probably not till February now. It used to be about 5 months last year, but it's down to about a month. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
But there's also another lady, right? Is it Antonia? Or
Antigone, yeah, she co-teaches this with me. Yeah, she can give readings as well. She's got more availability. So, but I'll put a link on the YouTube description on how you can contact us for a reading. Yeah. Okay. But
I have got a question, because I know you said go off the birth name, right? So, but what was interesting, I think when I went to my mum's birth country, South Africa, I was given an Indian name by a priest when I was about 10 years old. So would you say just ignore that?
To do it properly, you probably want to have what's got a birth and overlay reading, where we look at the birth name, just like we did with Mira, but in a lot more depth. And then we would look at all the different names you've used, like that name you got at 10, commonly used name, because they all will give you information to explain why your life has been the way it is. Okay, and then what you can do about it, because you want to see the general direction someone's heading in and help. So you can open out and find your gifts, overcome the challenges, and get on with life, really. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to look at all of them. They all have an impact. So.
I see. Yeah. I found it really interesting. Thank you. I'll be in touch anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else got any questions there? Okay. Patricia, go on.
Hi, Nicolas. So I've read your book, and I created, the star with all the numbers based on the spelling of my name with all the numbers. But since I have a non-English birth name, or my middle name and my last name are non-English, they're Cantonese, then when I have my reading with you, I can probably expect to have a totally different
I'm Cantonese originally. It'll be a different set of numbers, because I have to turn the Cantonese into English sounds.
So I can just disregard the chart that I've laid out for myself.
It'll give you
And-
some information, okay, but it won't give you the core energy which is creating your life.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah. So don't ignore it totally, but there'll be other information, a lot more information I'll give you. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad I scheduled this reading with you because I know that I need to start there before I can move forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Nicolas. I'm
Okay.
sorry, you probably can't see me because I'm in the dark. I'm in complete dark, which is why I turned my screen off because I'm, anyhow, I sent a message earlier, but I had a soul contract reading with you, about, 10 years ago.
That's about right.
And yes.
This is Catherine, people. So.
Hello, and I have to say that this work that Nicolas does is absolutely amazing, and it's so accurate. And he told me something in that, which has sort of come back to haunt me. And I just wanted to ask you, because obviously I'm interested in seeing you again. I left you a message a couple of weeks ago, but I don't think you got it. And then I saw this webinar, so I thought, right. But so something's come round again. And although you went through my soul contract, so times in your life, as you said just then something appears that it's the right time for it to be activated.
Yeah.
And so if you had another soul contract reading now, it would obviously be more pertinent to now, but it also might make a lot more sense, mightn't it?
Yes, well, people often come back after a while to have a refresher, and it'll be a different sort of reading depending on what you've been through and what else is manifested. Yeah.
Yeah, because although the soul contract is sort of what it is when you do it, as you say, during your life, things get activated as well and put quite a different spin on things that would be nice to make a lot more sense of, wouldn't they?
Yeah, well, a decade later, you'll find it'll go to another level altogether because you had a decade to work through what was said to you the first time.
Yeah, and I've had some walk-ins and reincarnations as well, and that would be very interesting. How do they relate with the soul contract? Because you've got like your basic birth name, but then if you've had walk-ins and reincarnations, that changes things a bit, doesn't it?
What Catherine's referring to is a walk-in where you have a change of soul, which changes the potential driving the personality, but the soul contract still stays the same. And she's talking about reincarnations in the same body where the soul is briefly, it gets an upgrade, a promotion in terms of its mission and comes back in the body, where it's not a change of soul. So in both cases, the contract is expanded, essentially.
All right, that's what I was just wondering what happened there, because obviously the soul contract is there from birth, but things change as you go along.
Yeah, the driving potential changes, but the personality stays the same, so it's going to be stretched further, it's going to grow further.
Is that when the Antara, the whatever it is that connects the top and the bottom, enlarges, or what is it? You know, yesterday you were talking about
the Antikarana.
Yeah,
well,
the Antikarana.
Essentially, if you have a change of soul, you have a complete new soul on board. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We don't need to get into the detail of that at the moment.
No, we don't need to go into details, but I was just wanted to ask you about that. But anyhow, we can talk because I'll send you another message and you might see it.
Yeah, I'm still catching up on communications after Christmas, so.
I'm not surprised. You know, there's a lot going
on. So
yeah,
there's a lot of emails.
Okay, I'll resend.
Okay.
And it would be nice to talk. But thank you very much indeed. Really, really interesting. And for everybody else, this stuff is really gold dust. It is one of the quickest, most divine ways to work, divine healing and soul contract work with Almira and Nicolas and Chintin, and you know, they are amazing people to help us. Thank you.
Okay. So for those of you who are interested in learning how to do this, here's what the work can do for you in your practice. Just trying to get my pen to come up here. Basically, it will give you an immediate and profound understanding from the spiritual map of life of your clients and their issues. There's no guessing. You know exactly what's going on, especially if you're a coach. You don't have to spend a lot of time trying to extract out of the client where they want to go. It'll be completely in the contract. So you have a very accurate guide. It builds immediate trust. And by applying your existing tools that you have, you get faster results because you better focus them in a very specific way because you know exactly how far they've gone down the spectrum of life. So from that perspective, it's really good. And clients who know what their contract is, because everyone knows what's truth, they can feel the truth of it. They're going to keep coming back to you simply because you know what's going on. And it's a lot more effective in terms of moving them forward in the right process. Okay. Let's have a look. So basically, you get a structure which will help you understand everyone around you. So it means you can enhance relationships you have with those close to you, those you work with. And basically, by you practice after the first 3 days, which I mentioned earlier, of receiving the transmission, you spend 2 days giving and receiving readings. And so you'll find because you've absorbed the transmission, it comes, people get very good readings even after the first 3 days. And so you leave the course, provided you practice being able to give reasonable readings to people. And we teach you how to open your channel and you connect your guidance team. You get a soul contract guidance team who are working with you in the preparation and delivery readings. It's not just a little old you trying to work it all out. You're actually a conduit for higher consciousness. So your client's higher self is having a conversation with them via you and saying to their personality what they need to hear in that moment through the structure of the system. That's what we're actually doing here. So we teach you how to trust yourself very well. So, like I've said most of this already, it's experiential learning through complete immersion in the work, bodily transmission. And we have ongoing professional development. We've Facebook support group. We don't do the master classes anymore. We do what we call support programs. We have a monthly, it's an extra, optional extra. We have 4 1.5 hour slots, about 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks apart. So you can actually start to deliver the work, and then you can ask the questions about when real world situations come up, what you can do, or how do you handle certain situations. So we help you launch the work in your practice, okay, as you're actually doing it. We find it's very effective, okay. We find it's more effective to have live sessions as well as a Facebook group, which contains all of the practitioners globally. So what are your clients going to get? People get a deep feeling of peace when they hear the truth. It cuts through a whole lot of ego.
Nicolas, the 5 days
You're breaking up a lot. It's really bad the Wi-Fi, Catherine. I can't understand that.
broken up.
It's better now. Try again.
Okay. In the 5 days, is it 5 days? Oh, sorry. Is it like, yeah, is the 5 days? Can you hear me or not?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Leave the video off. Turn the video off.
Turn the video, right, okay.
Because there's not enough bandwidth.
Is the 5 days split up into, is it a straight 5 days or is it split up into a number of days?
It's straight 5 days.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
It's about 8 hours a day, 12:30
Yeah.
time, 4 1.5 hour slots approximately.
Yeah. I heard that bit. I just.
Okay. So
Straight 5 days and then you have a few days rest. Thanks.
you probably need about 3 days off. Okay, so people feel relieved and they actually know there's a meaning towards disparate experiences, because most people, I used to feel my life's a big cosmic accident and I got off at the wrong planet, wrong family, what am I doing here? And then Frank explained to me why all these disparate experiences happen, explained there was meaning to it, then I could actually get on with my life the first time, which was such a relief. And I've been using it ever since. And it can enable those who feel like victims of life, who had a very tough time, to take charge and move forward from wherever they are and get on with their life. Once you understand what the program is, you can do something about it. When you don't know what's going on, it's very hard to work out what to do, which is where most people are. So, whoops. And so, as I said, it's purely experiential. You're going to give and receive readings in the class. And the aim with a bit of practice with your classmates, so you can deliver readings soon after the workshop. So you've got to study and work at it, but it's not about remembering and learning it. It's about becoming it. That's the essential thing about it. Okay. And any further questions about the workshop structure or what I've just said? Caroline?
Hello, Nicholas. I just wanted to ask you, when you talk about the workshop, and obviously it's going to be done online, but I was just curious about when you talk about bodily transmission, exactly what is that? What's it involved?
It's the field of the workshop. And so, we're holding the field of the energy. And each time we talk about a specific number, you will receive that frequency of a 2 or a 7 or an 8 bodily. It's going to activate your DNA. It's going to program your energy fields. So you start to become it.
Okay.
So it's not just going into your mind. It's actually going, 80% of it is actually activating you with the work.
Okay. So if when you're working with clients and you're looking at their contract and you're seeing the numbers, are you sort of suggesting then that the way that you would be working would be more intuitive because you've got them sort of like downloaded, or would you be using a sort of like a book where it says, okay, 22/4 equals this, or well, not 22/4, there isn't probably, well, anyway, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, so are you saying that you're working more intuitively, or would you be given a sort of a set meaning for each of the numbers?
No, we teach you the specific meaning. The book that most of you read is based upon the manual for the training, with some components taken out, which we can't put in the book. Because, it's just,
so the bodily transmissions is like an extra thing on top then,
the bodily transmission activates it fully in you.
Okay.
And we have the full, you get 2 manuals. You get a training manual and you get a reference manual.
Okay.
And basically, you have all that material for preparing readings. We teach you how to make notes, how to tune in to the charts, tune into the key statements. So you don't put all the interpretations in, you put maybe 2 or 3 of them for each aspect, each of the 7 aspects. And we teach you how to put it all together, tune in intuitively, and tell the story. Telling the story to a client of their life. You intuitively, it's coming through you from their higher self and your team.
Okay.
Telling a story, and the notes are like your training wheels. And within that, you're following the intuitive flow within the structure of the system. That's actually how it works. So it's not a psychic reading at all.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's very structured the way it works. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Susie.
So if I were to consider getting trained in both the divine healing and in this, is there one that would be beneficial to do first? Does it matter?
It's whatever opens your heart the most, Susie. If you have to choose.
Okay. And that would be an intuitive decision.
Well, you just try. You just later on just try on. You put the vision of yourself in the workshop, say for this one in March, in February for the divine healing. Whichever one opens your heart the most is the spiritual signature. It's your soul telling you that's the first one to do.
Right. So I've been doing that. For myself personally, the divine healing is just like right on. Like I really, really resonate with that. For this one, I'm a yoga instructor. So for this one, I feel like this is a good thing to do for. The other one would be too, but this one, I feel like it's something that I could really use for helping other people kind of more in a direct way where it seems a little less spiritual, right? Where it's like, it's based on numbers of your letters of your birth name. So they both really resonate. For myself personally, I really like the divine healing.
Yeah, well, they go well together because the soul contract is, which is why we teach them, have two tools. The the soul contract is a spiritual map of someone's life. It brings consciousness to the issues which they're facing, which they will talk about in a session with you. Okay, and the divine healing is the process of transmuting those issues into the gift of service. So they complement each other.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you're a facilitator like you in a class, if you have the soul contracts for all your students, then you can see when they go through certain issues, you can see straight away within the contract what's going on. So it makes it a lot easier to help them because you know what's driving it, rather than going purely intuitively and based on experience. You've got this other high level structure of what's happening for them. So it makes it easier to manage your class as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. Patricia, you're waving your hand at me.
Yes. So another question, and say after we take this class and we come across people with foreign names, like most of my family is Chinese or Hawaiian or Filipino.
Yeah.
Would we have to take another class to learn, excuse me, to learn how to translate those names into more English sounds before we can do a reading, or can we even do some sort of a reading without that training?
You really need the class. We do a phonetics training once a year in July, and it's where we go through about 25 to 30 languages, and you learn. It's another transmission. You learn how to handle European, Asian, African, all sorts of different languages, Western and European languages. Okay, but what we do is that we make it available as a video, so you can have the video. You can pay a lower price for the videos of the previous classes, so you can get it straight away when you're ready. Because often people want to get on with it, but then you pay a small difference, and you can come to the next live class. So that's how we handle that. But you have to have completed level 1 first, because you need to have the essence of the 22 numbers. Because unless you can differentiate between them, you won't follow the phonetics class, because it assumes a good knowledge of what the numbers mean.
So is it one phonetics class that encompasses a whole number of different languages?
Yeah, we cover 25 to 30 languages at a time. But basically, the students bring their clients to the class, and we do real client names in different languages. That's how we do it. So you could be the Oriental section, just bring all your relatives, and we'll just do their names.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Before I've got one more slide to go. Okay, let's get to the next one. Okay. So if you're interested in coming, the next one is the 17th to 21st of March. We run them twice a year on Zoom, 12:30 to 8:30 UK, 7:30 to 3:30 Eastern, 4:30 to 12:30 Pacific. Okay. We used to start at 10 o'clock UK time, which was 2 o'clock Pacific, but I moved it later for that reason, because we have a lot of people from California come. So if you want to come along, you can find out more at soulcontractreading.com. The deposit is £250, and the full exchange, okay, is 652. So that 250 is included in that. It's about $850 US. Okay. So just a matter of it, if you feel drawn to it. And I love seeing people learn this and then reaching out and helping others awaken. That's my threes as a teacher. So it never gets boring, and there's always a good range of people in the class to work with. So any final questions on that? No? Well, thank you for coming, guys, and some good questions, and Mira for being our guinea pig. And I'll get the video out to you in the next couple of days once it's rendered. And the YouTube description will carry links for the phonetics and things like that. And for individual sessions, that's for Justin. Okay. All right. So thank you. Oh, Leslie, you got a question? We're just waving. Just waving. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.